but it's a fixed income. You know what you're getting. The problem is that if you're cream, you can't really rise to the top, right? There's a limit, there's a ceiling there. And Mayweather saw that ceiling. Oscar saw that ceiling. Other fighters have seen that. And a lot of guys have been with Top Rank and left, just like a lot of guys have been with Golden Boy. I mean, Al Heyman, he had half his stable was with Golden Boy, and he took them all. So when promoters have these ceilings, and fighters say, not only can I get better competition, build my legacy, make bigger fights so I can make more money, you clearly have promoters who are stopping that from happening because they have a different strategy. So to me, like, here's how I look at it. Top Rank, Bob Arum, Golden Boy, Oscar De La Hoya, Matchroom DAZN with Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren to a lesser extent over in the UK, because he's got Tyson Fury when he's in the UK or whatever. Those guys all have the same strategy. It's, let's get a guy, let's market him, let's put him in there a bunch of patty cakes. When people are clamoring for a big fight, unless it's really, really big money, and I have somebody to come behind that guy to fill that void in case he loses, so I can cover my losses, I'm not making the fight. Yeah. I'm not going to do it. So, that's why they're avoiding Tyson Fury versus Wilder 3. They know Wilder's probably angry. He's going to probably try to knock Fury's head off. They know even if Fury doesn't pay the price for whatever the whole issue is with Glovegate, they know he's going to be under additional scrutiny that third fight with his glove situation.
Yeah.
Everything is going to be scrutinized. So you have to come in under the assumption is, if my guy did have some unfair advantage in the rematch, in the trilogy fight, in the third fight, the suspicion is going to negate that.
I was sketchy about the whole Glovegate thing until they showed the picture of the glove and it looked like you could just see all knuckle. I was like, yo, that ain't correct. Like, that's not supposed to look like that.
That's not supposed to happen.
Like the flopping of the glove, I understand that when you're you're not really throwing a jab and you're just flicking it out there. Like, I kind of understand that.
Or even when they tape your hands, there's a little flexibility. And if boxing fighters have strong hands, I can see you flopping it a little bit. Still not that much, which is a problem. But my bigger issue is you can clearly see the imprint of his knuckles through the glove. Yeah. Not in the entire time of boxing have I ever seen that.
No.
So, and what's so interesting is, whether it's ESPN, whether it's Tyson Fury, whether it's anybody, even all the haters, AJ, all these other people, even Breland, I think it's wrong that he went after Breland with that, but how do you explain the guy's glove being like that? Everybody talks about everything else other than, how the hell do you see the guy's knuckle print in the glove? How do you explain that?
That's when I withdrew. I was like, yo, he just upset, he lost, such and such and such. But when they showed that, I was like, oh, no. All right, pimp, like, there's something wrong there. Like, there's no way you're supposed to see a person's fist through the glove.
And then he's got a dent in his head, which is probably why he came up with the stupid excuse of, it was my costume weighing too much, because he wasn't in his right mind.
Yeah,
he had that dent in his head. His brain wasn't working right.
That was my only, like, I like Deontay Wilder. I go back to listening to things that Lennox Lewis said, and Emmanuel Stewart. It was like, he has to work on his jab and the way he throws his punches, because those are going to be things like the basic training of what you do ultimately can get you through certain things. And if you look at a guy like Juan Manuel Marquez, you look at Floyd Mayweather, you look at these guys who have the basics down, even down to Tommy Hearns, because I know Emmanuel Stewart once upon a time said that Tommy wasn't the best athletic or all that. He said he did the basic things very well, and he did it over and over again, and it was just repetition for him, to the point where he just did it, and it was just like, it was muscle memory. So that's why he was able to do certain things he was able to do.
Nobody had a better 1-2 than Tommy the Hitman Hearns in all of boxing.
Oh man, and he could do it different ways too.
He would. Different variations, everything.
And I look at that and I wonder about that. Like, when you got a guy like Mark Breland in your corner, I need some evidence when you say things like he poisoned your water. He gave you relaxers. Like, I need to see evidence about that, because why would a two-time world champion, one of the greatest amateur boxers in New York history, 100, even like 101 or something like that, why would he poison your water? Like, what would be the purpose of him doing that?
Yeah, I mean, to me, if you can't show me evidence, or if you can't give me a bank account where he got some transaction with some money that
Yeah,
you can't trace,
yeah,
then to me, shut up. I don't like allegations like that unless you can prove it. I liken that to Trump talking about voter fraud. No, show me. Don't say there's voter fraud if you can't show me.
yeah.
So he's made some really, really bad PR moves. He obviously is missing a good public relations team around him and crisis management team around him. Um, but at the end of the day, I don't need all of that to know that I saw Tyson Fury's knuckles,
Yeah,
and that shit just doesn't add up.
yeah,
And
that don't
until
happen.
somebody can give me a valid explanation as to why you would see somebody's knuckles in a glove,
And
then I don't want to hear it.
I'm curious as to who was in the back room when these gloves were being put on. Like, how
J
you got
J
to see
J D's J Diaz. He was in the back room. I saw the video. He was back there. He was back there.
did a horrible
But you know what
job.
the rumor is? But the rumor is that they did it. Then when they cut away, he didn't keep those on. They're saying they cut them off and put some different ones on. That's the rumor. So when you look at the hold on, I'm not saying Diaz is still wrong in a sense, right? But what I'm saying is when I looked at the video when Diaz was watching them, when it's putting Tyson Fury's gloves on, you couldn't see his knuckles. He was squeezing, and the glove was clearly padded. There's only one explanation why, if the video is on where Diaz is there and the gloves are on are padded, and then you go and you in the ring, and then the gloves aren't padded, that means you change your fucking gloves.
Yeah,
And you can't tell me there's not enough time, unless you put the gloves on and he walks right out. There was definitely like another 30, 45 minutes after those gloves went on before
because
Fury.
at first I was like, well, maybe he used, I think it's a horsehair where you can move the padding around to get to the bare knuckle. But I was like, you can't, as the trainer who's watching, like you would see that,
Yeah.
you would know it, you would see what it
You,
is. So when you see a guy that's like all knuckle, I'm like, oh no, man,
yeah.
y'all tripping.
Yeah. The other thing is here's another thing. There's video footage back there. They have cameras back there.
Yeah,
So if I'm Deontay, why didn't you not get a lawyer and subpoena those records and get that footage, at least to see what comes up with it? If you're
yeah.
Tyson Fury and you're innocent, why would you say, hey, here's the video. Here's a video of me the whole time.
There's also, I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's a photographer that did some of Tyson Fury's fights. And he was the photographer doing one of those fights. He allegedly, from what I was told, he has plenty of photos that he posted of that fight where you can actually see the gloves of Tyson Fury. He has since people have found out who this guy is, he has since locked the photos and you can't go to his page and access them anymore. He locked the photos or whatever he did to them, but you can't view them. He didn't take them down, but you just can't view them. Right. So that lets me know that there's something there.